Hello, I'm Jennifer with Jennifer Decorates. Today's video is all about how to make a beautiful fall wreath, so stay tuned. Fall is one of my favorite times of the year. My husband loves it because it's football season. I'm afraid I'm a big yawn on that. I love fall and Christmas because it means craft time and getting the hot glue gun out. So let's get started making a beautiful fall wreath. Let me show you the finished product first, and then we're gonna back up from there. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these big floral stems, fall floral stems. Love the corn husk on them and the wheat. So I'm not going to trim the end. This is going to be my center point, and I'm actually going to kind of weave in that stem. All right. Then I'm going to take this floral stem wire, and I really like it. It's already cut. And it's kind of coated with some plastic, so it really doesn't tear your hands up. And what I want to do, I'm gonna clip it in half. And really, I'm just gonna grab a couple pieces and run that floral wire through the grapevine wreath and twist the stem onto the wreath to secure it. And then I'll just trim the extra wire. I'm going to do that on the other side. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop now and make the bow. The bow is just going to be kind of the highlight of the entire wreath, and I kind of want to come down a little bit with the tails, and I really want to tuck in the smaller elements. Now I have a video on how to make bows, and I'll link that in the description. The important thing about making a bow is getting your loops all the same size. And that's about how big I want the bow to be. I'm going to use the same wire on the bow, and this is how I'm going to attach it to the wreath. And I'm just going to wire that to the wreath. Because I want to make a really neutral wreath, I have decided I really want to put white pumpkins on and a little bit larger, so I'm going to snip these off, and I'll just use them for another project. I'm going to place a pumpkin on each side of the bow, and so luckily it has a really long stem. So I'm going to trim it just a little bit, and what that's going to do is it's going to stick into the grapevine, but then I'm going to add some hot, well, that one's somewhere. Okay, so let me get my glue gun. Now I kind of want to see how I'm going to trail the tail of the ribbon. So I'm going to go under this pumpkin and tuck it under just a little bit and come around the pine cone. And if you tuck it under, and after I pull that down a little bit, I'm going to cut it at an angle. Grapevine wreaths are so pretty, but they just make a huge mess working with them. All right, let's do the other tail. Again, I'm going to come under that white pumpkin and this time I'm going to go just a little bit of a different direction and tuck under the pine cone this way. And just kind of leave it hanging out. And then I'm going to cut it at an angle as well. Next, I want to add 2 of these grapevine pumpkins. I'm going to trim that stem a little bit. And I'm going to add it just under the pine cone and just a little bit down from the white pumpkin. Now I'm going to add 2 sunflowers that are very muted colors, really match the colors that's in the floral stem. I already added a white one, and then I'm going to add this one right beside the pumpkin. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, except I'm going to put this sunflower here and then the white sunflower up here around the white pumpkin. I decided to add 1 more grapevine pumpkin right around here up under the white pumpkins. Now for the really fun part. This is when I like to add a little bit of whimsy and have some of the flowers come out from the wreath. And I just begin by snipping little pieces and tucking them in. If you're able to do this at home and you have a spot in your garage or a room where you can hang the wreath up while you're working on it, it really helps a lot. Once you've got the bigger items on the wreath and you're going to put the smaller items, it really helps you know what it's going to look like when it's hanging on your door. So a lot of times when I'm in the middle of working on a craft, I'm not liking the way it's turning out, so I'm gonna hit the brakes and kind of start over. This was the case on this one. I thought I was gonna like the tails kind of going in and out of the pine cones on the side, but I didn't. The other thing I wasn't liking was on my bow, I felt like there needed to be 1 more loop. But I'm gonna show you a trick so that if this happens to you, you don't have to start all the way over. So what you do is you trim a little bit of the ribbon and then you cut it at an angle. Floral wire that I have, you're simply going to twist it around so that it gathers on there really tight, and we're going to glue it in place, and no one will ever know that it wasn't one continuous bow. And then I'm going to come in here on the top, push it down in there and let it dry. Okay, all done with that part. Then I decided I really kind of want to go ahead and let the tails hang in the middle of the wreath. And let me show you another trick. So you're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to cut your ribbon, angle it at the end and twist it together. And what I want to do is I want to put 2 of these just right there because I just love the look of this ribbon, and I think it's going to add to the whole entire wreath. I'm going to tuck it in right there. Use my little stick and let that dry. And I'm just going to do that on the other side. Now the fun part, to add these beautiful little flowers and give this entire wreath a little bit of an airy and whimsy look. So you really just want to pull down a little bit and start snipping the smaller pieces and just start gluing them in the wreath. The trick to keeping it airy is not to have too much of this clumped together, but just kind of spread it all the way around the wreath. And something that's easy to do is if you pull it down, then it kind of pulls the pieces apart for you. Much easier. Another quick tip, when you're adding glue to these little stems, You think you kind of really want to add it to the end, but actually if you come up here where it's a little bit thicker, you're sliding this into the wreath anyway. So there's more of a place to actually add the hot glue and less likeliness of it to drip off and burn you. The very last thing I want to add to the wreath are these beautiful little berries. So when you start with fall stems that are already full and have a lot of different blooms on them, it makes it so much easier to make a wreath. You can make this wreath in under an hour. I've got mine up. Fortunately, the weather is not cooperating. It is still extremely hot here in Tennessee, but that's okay. Have a wonderful day. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit that bell because it'll tell you when I have a new video out.